Hi, everybody, and welcome to the new Resource Central. I'm Joe Reinecker, and with us today is Rosie Cooper. She is the Executive Director of the Kansas Association of Centers for Independent Living, known as KACIL. How are you, Rosie, and welcome to Resource Central.
I'm very good. I'm very happy to be here.
What is KACIL, and how does it work?
KACIL is an association that represents 10 centers for independent living throughout the state. We basically provide assistance to the centers to advocate and do whatever's necessary to help the centers be the strongest they can be, which in turn then allows people with disabilities to get the services they have right to learn how to advocate. We're kind of the umbrella is what we are.
Where are the 10 centers located?
Kansas City, Kansas, there's 2. There's one in Kansas City, Kansas, Coalition for Independence. The whole person is in Kansas City, Missouri, but also serves people on the Kansas side. Independence Incorporated is in Lawrence. Link is in Hayes. The Resource Center for Independent Living is in Osage City. Independent Living Resource Center is in Wichita. Independent Connection is in Salina, Kansas. And Prairie Independent Living Resource Center is in Hutchinson. Three Rivers is in Wamego. And, of course, the Southeast Kansas Independent Living is in Parsons.
Say I'm a handicapped person and I think that I might need your services. How do I go about getting in touch with you?
You can contact me at 785-215-8048, or you can go on our website, www.KACIL.org. Either way is a great way to get in touch with me.
And then after that, will you send me a test or some kind of information to see if I can use your services?
Well, I'll tell you, the great thing about Centers for Independent Living, there's no test that you need to take. Literally, all an individual has to do is say, I am Rosie Cooper and I have a disability, and the Center for Independent Living in your area is going to serve you.
Okay.
It's
That's
just
awesome.
that simple. Yeah, isn't that great? And
That's
the
awesome.
core services of peer counseling, advocacy, individual and system, independent living skills training, and I'm leaving one out. I got to think. Peer counseling, information and referral. Those are all free of charge. There's absolutely no cost to a Center for Independent Living Services.
Last week, you guys had what is known as a disability caucus. How many of those caucuses have you had, and what was discussed in this one?
Well, the significant part about this year's caucus was the last one we held was in 2011. And at that time, the caucus had to change its home. So Kansas Association of Centers for Independent Living, we took on the Kansas Disability Caucus, and now it will be held every other year. The first one was in 1988. It was in Salina, and they've been held every other year since then until 2011. We were very, very happy that we were able to have the caucus again this year. We started out fundraising. We started out with zero funds. We managed to get the dollars raised so that people with disabilities would have scholarships to come, and it would be possible for them to be there. We're very, very proud to state that the disabilities that were represented at the caucus were people who are deaf, hard of hearing, people who are blind, people with intellectual disabilities, traumatic head injuries, physical disabilities, mental health disabilities, ages young adults and up. So it really was a representation of all disabilities, all ages, and from across the state. Everything from Kansas City to liberal. That's pretty well stretches across.
I was looking at your agenda for this particular caucus, and it was huge with a lot of people and a lot of good places. We know people in high places. So I basically want to know what was discussed and how will you know how will you know this caucus will be successful?
Well, one, we know it was successful because each person left the caucus with their own individual goals around independence, involvement, and employment. So that alone makes it successful. Everybody left with a goal of what they're going to do to become more independent, more involved, and increase their employment. Then, as a caucus, what we do is we divide the state into 3 regions. And we had West, Central, and East regions. And each of those regions had a facilitator, and we talked about what are the issues that need to be addressed so that people can become more independent. Is it housing? Is it transportation? Is it employment? You know, is it access? You know, is it advocacy, access to services? You know, so each region developed what they called their top 5. Then we brought those together, and we basically narrowed it down to the top items for the state. At the same time, they, as a caucus, they came together and thought up solutions. How did they address these issues and barriers? So we're in the process now. It's a little early for me to give any big reports, Joe, but we will be in the process this week of taking all this information and developing it into what we call an executive summary. And that executive summary.
Go ahead.
Okay, that executive summary will be available on the KACIL website. It will also be available to all the disability groups that were represented there. We'll make sure that policymakers and state leaders in Kansas receive copies of this information that will talk about the issues and the solutions.
I found out that the caucus was in Topeka. Did you speak to the governor, or will you speak to the governor in the near future about what the caucus discussed?
Well, certainly once we get the executive summary together, we will definitely make sure the governor sees a copy of it, and also make sure that all of the secretaries of the governor receive this. We've worked real closely with the Kansas Department of Commerce, the Kansas Rehabilitation Services, KDADS, Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services. All of those entities we work closely with all the time, and many of them have what they call 5-year plans, and we will be giving them this information so that they can help guide their 5-year plans. The other thing that we will do is we will make this available to the State Independent Living Center of Kansas, Independent Living Council, I said that wrong, of Kansas, which is called the SILC. We are about to start the process of writing a new state plan for independent living. So this will be used as some of the information as to what people in Kansas need and what they think the solutions are to write that state plan for independent living. We have a new one every 3 years.
Do you work with people in other states to see what they might do for their handicapped people, as far as statements and as far as statements for independent living and stuff? And do you work together on that for Kansas, or is it just totally different?
Well, each state is different. Just like Parsons, Kansas is different than Liberal, Kansas.
Okay.
Hutchinson, Kansas is different than Kansas City, Kansas.
Sure.
And so independent living really is tailored to each person as to what their specific areas of need are that they need to address so that they can be more independent, involved, or employed. And so everything's tailored individually. Certainly we have leaders throughout the state of Kansas that will work with the national organizations. Kathy Cooper is the executive director of the Silk here in Kansas, and she attends the National Silk Congress every year, which they do trade information and learn from one another and bring ideas back to Kansas. And we're quite proud. Quite often, Kathy's taken our ideas to other states. Kansas has a good IL network, very good IL network.
Okay. Rosie, one more shot at your phone number if people want to get in touch with you.
It's 785-215-8048. Or they can reach me at Rosie at KACIL, KACIL.org.
Thank you, Rosie. You've been listening to Resource Central. I'm Joe Reinecker. Have a good day, everybody.